Hey you guys, so today's video is going to be a full-blown tutorial talk through doing this look I'm wearing right now. I have been wearing this quite a bit lately and I've gotten tons of requests for a tutorial on it. It's kind of an understated copper smoky eye paired with like a plum colored lip. The orange and the purple kind of makes me think of Thanksgiving for some reason. I don't know, I guess I think of like cranberry sauce and stuffing. I don't know, something like that. Yeah, I've totally been wearing this like all the time lately. I'm gonna throw out a bunch of tips and tricks and fun facts along the way in this one, so stay tuned if you want to kind of bone up on some skills or hear why I've been trying different products or different techniques lately. And I hope you guys enjoy it. So without any further ado, let's just get started. I'm gonna take my Sephora Pro palette today, and that's what I'm gonna work out of for a lot of my crease work and my outer V work, and I'm just gonna bounce around from color to color. Do not feel like you have to go out and buy any one particular thing that I'm using. Use what you have. My eyelids are already primed. I use my Urban Decay primer potion in the color Fix, and I've lightly set the area using some translucent powder from RCMA. It's completely no color. And then I'm just gonna take these two shades in the Sephora Pro palette. This color right here is kind of a neutral caramel brown tone. It's not too warm at all. It's not dark either. And then the shade right below it right here is a orange tone. Now, what you want to use is anything you have that is not too warm on your skin. So you want to find a nice balance between a warm and a neutral color. If you're more pink undertone, definitely don't go for anything too orange or too red. So for me, my skin kind of is like a harsh neutral color in and of itself, but if it were to pull any shade, it definitely pulls a little bit more pink. So I'm going in with a color that is a very, very neutral color, not too warm, not too cool, and then I'm adding that little bit of an orange shade to it to make it just a little bit warm, but not too much, because it's definitely going to get darker as we go down, and I don't want it to look like I have on like an orange smoky eye. I just want it to have a little bit of warmth because it'll be a little bit more soft, still smoky, still fall appropriate, but it won't be too orange looking. I don't know. You know what I'm talking about. When people bust out a warm smoky eye and it's like orange, 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 orange. Work with a few neutral tones in your warm smoky eyes. It'll actually make those warm tones pop a little bit more and give contrast, which is important for a look like this. So I'm just going to take those two shades on the fluffiest brush that I'm going to use in this process. This is my Smith 232, and I'm just going to take this shade from my outer corner of my eye up here. This color is going to stay the highest in this look, and I'm going to bring it in all the way. You don't want to bring it down. We'll work on that later. Keep it up and lifted, and make sure you blend it out nice and smooth and seamless. You do want to make sure to bring this in a little bit right here, because it will give the rest of your color something to blend into. So you can bring it down here in the outer corner if you'd like. I recommend it, but you just don't want to bring it down here in this mobile lid area. So you can take it down in the outer corner and just start focusing on blending it out. Make sure you bring it into this part here because your lid color is going to need something to blend into as well. Brush number 2 in a shade a little bit darker than the colors that we've been working with already, and it's this one right here. Basically, you just want to go in with a color that's a little bit darker. If you want, if you don't have anything that's a little bit darker, you can easily just take the colors you've already been using them and continue to move in with smaller brushes and just kind of pack a little bit more on, and that would still work just fine. But I have this in front of me, so I'm going to use it, and I'm going to take, once again, that darker shade, and I'm just going to create the same motion that I've already been doing, which is kind of starting to pack this on the outer lid and slowly move it inward towards the inner part of my eye right here. You definitely want to move in small amounts. Don't go too dark too quick, because I really want it to be kind of a lighter look on the lid and maybe a little bit darker on the lower lash line, which I think is a really cool way to do a smoky eye, where you do definitely have some color here on the lid, but the depth of it is not super dark. It's really just dark through here and then through right here. If you have smaller eyes and more hooded eyes, it's definitely a way to incorporate more color into your look, is to focus a lot of the smokiness down here as opposed to up here, which you won't even really be able to see when your eyes are open anyway. Does that make sense? That makes sense. Smaller brush, a little bit darker color, and we're going to start blending that into our lower crease color as our brush number 2 and our color number 2. Also for me, if you can tell, my eyes, like right here, do you see how downturned the outer corner of my eye is? Like, it goes straight down. So what I do is I tend to use my eyeshadow to kind of feather it out like this because it gives me a lifting effect, but you definitely don't have to do that if you don't struggle with that. If you have very big open eyes as it is, I think sometimes creating even more of a lifting effect can be a little bit unflattering and a little bit harsh, but if you are smaller, squinty, or downturned, this is a good way to kind of counteract that and give you a lot of lift and brightness to that area. I always recommend going in with the bigger brush you started with as you're going through this process and then just softening edges and blending it out as you go. It's always easier to start off in small amounts of color than it is to add a lot and try to blend it away. If you go in with small amounts on your brushes and then just take bigger brushes to soften your edges, it's so much quicker. When I'm not doing this on camera, I can do it really quickly. I just kind of have it like ingrained in my head now that darker colors go on smaller brushes, and always go back and blend out your darker color with your bigger brush to soften out edges and make sure that you're able to control the intensity of it as you go. Charlotte Tilbury Dolce Vita palette. You do not have to use this palette, although I love it and I pull for a couple colors out of it if possible pretty much every time I do my makeup if I can do so. I'm actually going to take this warm rusty color right here. Antiques from MAC is a good option. I know the Lorac Pro #1 palette has kind of a rusty shimmery color. You don't want anything too shimmery. You don't want glittery. You want just kind of like a satin finish to it because it blends out super easy, and I really can't explain what this shadow does. It just looks so, I don't know how to explain it. I'm not even going to attempt to because I will fail miserably. It just kind of blends itself and it looks seamless and kind of lived in and glam at the same time. It's gorgeous. So I'm going to take this more shimmery color. It's not crazy different than the color that we already used. I'm really just using this to give my lid color a similar tone to blend into. What a lot of people will do will start to pack this color all over their lid and then move up, and you can absolutely do that. But for me, it's easier just to take the color and control where I want it in my crease first, and then pack the color in my lid to meet up with that. So that's all personal preference, but that's how I'm gonna do it. Brush #3, which is smaller than all of the other brushes that I have used so far, if you noticed. And I'm just gonna start working that color. This is the warm red color, like I said, in the palette on my MAC 2, I think it's a 221. And I'm just gonna start kitting it in this area right here. So now I'm going to take a cream shadow. You take any cream shadow that you have, you just want it to be neutral. You could even just put more of the primer that you're already using to go on the lid if you want. I just like to go with something a little bit darker. This is the Makeup Forever Aqua XL color number L54. It's just kind of a mid-tone shimmery brown, and even though I'm going to pack a warm red on top of it, you're still going to be able to tell that it's a warm kind of rusty color, even though this is going to be brown. But what it's going to do is just kind of help it build quicker, and it's going to look a little bit more intense and vibrant. What you want to do is take any flat brush that you have and just kind of work this onto the lid. I know you guys have seen people like cut their crease to do their eyeshadow using like a concealer. It's kind of the same idea. You don't want to go too high with this though. You really just need it to kind of meet with that kind of shimmery color we put there. If you didn't put the shimmery color there, that's fine. You still just kind of want to take it a little bit up in this area so it can meet with the second color you apply. Does that make sense? I always punctuate sentences with "does that make sense?" and I need to find another way to explain myself. So now you can just see that that lid's just a little bit darker. You can come in and just kind of soften the edge of that cream if you want to. I typically do. And then we're just going to take another flat brush and just take the warm red color that we started with and start working this all over the lid. Do you see how it's just kind of building up really easily? You can still tell that it's a warm color. The base didn't turn it cool. It's just making that a lot quicker, and just, I don't know, I prefer to do it that way personally. So you can leave it just like that if you want to. This is still a really pretty look, but I always deepen out the outer corner of my eye because I think it just kind of elongates and just kind of creates a more open appearance right here in the front of my eye by creating contrast out here in the outer corner. So in order to do that, I'm gonna take the same palette and use this cool gray brown color. This kind of cool brown. I'm gonna take this cool brown shade on a smaller brush and just start poking this in the outer corner and bringing it up just a little bit up here. Even though this color isn't crazy dark compared to this one, you can still tell where it's created depth, which is what I love about this color palette, this formula. I love Charlotte Tilbury so hard. So you can leave it here or add a little bit more depth. I'm actually gonna add just a little bit more depth on that outer corner using my favorite eyeshadow of all time. This is Coconut Grove from NARS. It's just a perfect, deep, cool tone brown that I use pretty much every day, and I love it. So I'm gonna take that on the smallest brush yet. The smallest brush that I will use, and that is my pencil brush, and I'm just gonna kind of poke it right there, and then I'll be done with the top lash. So I'm gonna take this really pretty glittery shade. I don't know of any dupes I can give you guys for this, but I'm sure there's some out there. What I love about this is I just kind of take it on my finger and I press it on the mobile lid of my eye. You might not be able to see on camera how pretty it looks, but in person, it just looks like little sparkly, like, fireworks on your eyes, but it's not like glittery. It doesn't look like I've applied like a straight glitter liner. It just gives it a little something something that I can't explain, which I might as well just call this palette a makeup product I cannot explain, because I love it for reasons that you just have to try it to understand. So I'm gonna take that on my finger like I said, and I'm gonna press this all over the mobile part of my lid. I'm gonna take this shimmery white color that's in the palette. You can use any shimmery highlighting color that you like, and I'm just gonna pop a little bit on that brow bone. I don't actually remember to do this step as much as I used to. A lot of people will actually use this to like blend their eyeshadow out. I don't like that. I just think when it hits the light, it can look really pretty, but it is very optional. So just now, I used every single color in this palette, and I'm gonna do mascara and liner really quick, and then I will come back and we will talk about lashes. So I'm just taking a little bit of makeup remover to kind of clean up the under eye area and get rid of any excess primer or shadow that got away from me. Basically just kind of using this to define my shape. I do this pretty much every time I do my eyes first, and the makeup remover I'm using today is from this company called Elemis, which is a new company I am trying out. I actually used their Pro Collagen Hydra Gel masks today to see how it kind of did with my under eye area, and I'm really, really impressed. It's a UK brand. I'm trying it out, and so far I'm really into it. Lashes, as always, I'm using Flutter Lashes Any Style Intoxicating. I've been using these things faithfully since last I think it was December, so it's been a full year-long love affair, and I love them more and more every time I use them. Guys ask me all the time what lashes I'm wearing, and it's probably these. The chances of it not being these, pretty slim, honestly. Pretty slim indeed, but they're just gorgeous, and they're long, but they're thick, but they're not so thick that they like hide your work on your lid, and they're comfortable, and they're not mink, so I love these. So the thing with lashes, especially if you have smaller eyes like me, typically a lot of people want to stay away from longer or bigger lashes like this. I disagree. I think shorter lashes actually make my eyes look way smaller, but I will tell you that what you want to do if you have smaller eyes and you are trying to go in with a more va-va boom lash like this, you definitely want to balance out the lash lines with each other. So that's part of why I always like go over the top with my lower lash line, is just to kind of balance it out and make the top match the bottom, if that makes any sense. Okay, let's move on to some skin. I'm gonna take a little bit of my Dermalogica Hydra Blur Primer and put this in the areas of my face that I have the most texture. I'm gonna take my Bobbi Brown color corrector and put this underneath my eyes because my dark circles have been just a little disrespectful lately. Foundation, I'm gonna take my Makeup Forever Ultra HD foundation. This is in the color Y375. This is a little bit yellow for me, but I can make it work when I go through and do my highlighting and concealing process. sure to go over the area of my foundation with a beauty blender if I use a brush, just to make sure there's no streaks and just to absorb any excess product. The brush that I used today was the Wangoss number 13. I'm gonna go ahead and apply my concealer really quick. I'm not gonna go too in depth with how I do the bulk of this. I'll kind of talk a little bit about the products that I'm using, but if you want like a really in-depth tutorial about how I do my concealing, contouring, highlighting, blush, all that good stuff, I do have a talk through tutorial. It's kind of similar to my eyeshadow 101 videos where I really try to break it down and explain and teach you a little something something, so make sure you check that out if you have not. The Urban Decay Naked Skin Shapeshifter Contour Palette. I've been using this for a while. I just don't know if I've mentioned it. And I'm going to take this shade right here, which is kind of the under eye highlighting, whatever you want to call it, shade. I'm just going to dust this underneath my eye and all the areas of my face that I want to set. I am going to bake a little bit today because I just feel like it really helps keep my makeup on longer, and it actually does a really good job of making sure that the under eye work that I do, all the liner, the lashes, everything I do down here does not move at all when I bake as opposed to when I don't. I use the Dermablend loose setting powder in the original shade to go ahead and put a little bit of this underneath my eyes on the bridge of my nose, and then I'll wipe it all away and we will move on to the next step. I'm gonna take this off now. I'm gonna take the warm brown shade that we used in this look, and I'm just going to start running it from inner corner to outer corner, and depending on how dark I can get it, I might end up taking a little bit more of a matte shade to make it a little bit more crisp and a little bit more defined. But either way, this is very optional for you. I just really like to smoke out that lash line, but I'm going to keep my tear duct area pretty bright. But I'm going to take this shadow and kind of hug my tear duct. I'm not going to completely cover that up because it's just going to open me up a little bit more. I'm going to take this cooler tone brown and just run it from inner corner to outer corner again, once again avoiding my tear duct. The shimmery light color, gosh, I can't talk. I'm going to put that like right here, just a little bit. I don't want it to be like in your face Nancy Gray, so just want to bring a little light to the areas that I didn't put the darker shadows, and then I'm going to mascara my bottom lashes as well. I don't know why I'm singing everything that I say. I'm going to go ahead and contour using my Charlotte Tilbury Filmstar Bronze and Glow. I love this contour shade. I've talked about it many times, and it's the contour that I use in my contouring video that I won't shut up about. The color of this is really nice. I know it looks super light in the pan, but trust me, it just looks so real and natural, like you have actual really dope bone structure instead of a contour. Plus the like formula, something about it like goes into your skin and becomes a part of it. It's so cool. I love this Charlotte Tilbury. I haven't tried anything from her that I don't absolutely love, if you can't tell, so yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and contour. So I'm gonna bronze up using my Guerlan terracotta bronzer. This is the color Natural Blondes number 2. So hard. I have a viewfinder down here below the screen, but it flips everything the other way, so I can't ever tell what I'm doing. So these two colors right here, I'm gonna mix together on my brush. This is from the Jaclyn Hill and Becca, the holiday palette that came out last year. Use whatever blush you have. I'm mixing these two together because it just creates like a beautiful color. Like this one's really shimmery and really juicy and really bright, and this one is matte and more neutral, and when they come together on my brush, it's awesome. I love mixing different blush colors together if I can. So I'm actually going to use two highlighters. I'm going to use the Catrice highlighting powder that I talked about in my recent favorite video. It's my favorite. I'm going to put this all over my cheeks, and then I'll take like a more intense highlighter and put it like just at the very tippy top area, but I'm also going to put this highlighter on my Cupid's bow, like anywhere else I feel like it, because it's such a beautiful smooth formula. It's amazing. I'm going to take Champagne Pop, and I'm going to put that just like a little bit in this area right here. For lips, I'm going to take Lolita from Kat Von D, but I'm going to first line them using Absolutely It Pro Longwear Lip Liner from MAC. I'm going to go in with Lolita. It's just the perfect all year round, but especially fall time nude. Guys, that's the end of this fall makeup tutorial filled with lots of tips and tricks. I really hope you guys enjoy it. Make sure you thumbs up the video if you do enjoy it, subscribe if you have not, and I will catch you in the next one.